The fastest man alive is sometimes Barry Allen. But he's not the smartest man alive, because today he's going to be battling against the Sage Force. To catch you up real quick, the Flash has gone on a Force quest to discover more about the Sage Force, the Still Force, and the Strength Force, trying to figure out what they are. Now, we've already met the Still Force in the Justice League book, and we met the Strength Force in our last video. Now he's going to go meet the Sage Force. And if you're wondering where you are, well, that's the Complete Story series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues, and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand your favorite comic books, movies, and video games. We then read it dramatically back to you, making it like an audiobook narration, because we have fun doing that and you have fun watching that. Enjoy the story. In our last video, Flash faced off against the power-draining criminals known as Gemini while he was attempting to learn more of the Strength Force from its current wielder, Fiorza. You see, currently he's discovered that there are 3 new Force powers, the Strength Force, the Sage Force, and the Still Force. And he was on a Force quest to learn more about them. He worked with Fiorza to end the corruption of Corta Maltese, and he then found a gun that harnessed the power of the Sage Force, and it was being used by someone with no Force powers. After overthrowing the dictator, he left for Zandia to find the latest Sage Force user, who already happened to know who he was, even though he was in disguise as a Blackhawk member. Once they got to the secluded rooftop in the supervillain safe haven known as Zandia, the Sage Force user explains to Flash that there are a few things that he needs to go over before they begin. The person that they're targeting is a woman named Roulette. She is a games master and a criminal kingpin of the city, and one of the most deadliest people in the world. And just as anyone who would hear her name would assume, she runs illegal casinos all across the world. So why is he telling one of the greatest heroes who ever lived this? Because he's an agent of Argus, and his mission is to shut down her empire. But he has a question. Why is the Flash wearing a getup like that? The Flash begins his side of the story. A few months ago, 3 new forces were introduced into the world, one of them being the Sage Force, which Psych, right here in front of him, currently has. The man takes off his helmet, stating, "That's a pretty cool name. Not sure how much help I can be, though." Iris tells him that they should probably start small, like his name and how he got his powers, because she's having a hard time thinking that Psych is his real name. So he explains he's actually Bashir. As for his powers, well, it's gonna sound crazy, so he'll just go ahead and show them. Psych holds out his hands, and soon Flash and Iris begin to see images of Psych, and he tells them that he was having these terrifying nightmares when one night, boom, he ignited on fire. Argus was there to help him recover, and from there, they sent him on a mission to gather information on supervillains and report it back. There's been some things that he's not very proud of, though, but he does what he does because he believes in justice. Argus chose him because he lived on the streets. He never knew his father or his mother, and she was killed here. Now that the Flash is here, maybe they can work together. Take out Roulette and learn about these new forces. The Flash tells him that the only problem with that is no one can know that the Flash was here. Iris stops him, asking, "Are you serious? We just met this guy." And the Flash says, "Iris, it's the same thing that I felt when I was with Fiorza. There's a connection here that I feel with Psych. Once we get him out of here, we'll go back to Central City and Commander Cold will have a look and figure all of this out." A short while later at Roulette's casino, Psych points out that the psychic blocker that Roulette has protects its guests and says that they need to take that thing out. As the 3 move in, Psych stops and tells Iris, "Actually, you should probably hang back. You're the only one without powers and it'd be much safer." She asks, "Really?" And the Flash tells her, "He's right. Let me scope out things first and we'll get back to you." She scoffs and a voice calls out to her, stating that she isn't sure why they're hanging out with that creep. She looks back, asking, "Excuse me?" And the criminal Magpie says, "Psych, he's such a creepo." That's saying something when everyone in this place is on the shady side of things. Iris leans up against the bar, asking Magpie to please tell her more. Up close by Roulette's seat, Psych tells Flash that all they need to do is take down the blocker. Once he does that, they can. So Flash runs over to the blocker, disables it, and comes back asking, "What's next?" Psych holds up his hand, stating, "Haha, we're just getting started. Now I can really use my powers to make a big distraction." Flash asks what is he, but before he can finish, Psych puts Flash back in his costume, shouting to everyone, "Look who it is! Get him!" The Flash starts taking out all of the lowly criminals, and King of the Royal Flush Gang yells, "It's time for the Flash to fold." As Flash is forced to defend himself, Psych sneaks up behind Roulette and using his powers begins to extract information on her entire operation. After a few moments, Psych says, "Wow, you got a lot more going on than just these casinos. You are really bad." As Flash takes out the last member of the Royal Flush Gang, Psych runs out from the back yelling, "Best plan ever, let's!" But before he could finish, Flash runs through, grabbing both him and Iris, dropping them off on the roof, asking, "What the hell was that?" "You knew me being here could cause an international incident. My cover was blown." Psych says, "Don't worry. Who are they gonna call? They're all criminals. Once I call Argus, this whole thing will be cleaned up." And Iris stops him. No, it won't. You're lying. You don't work for Argus. You're just some kid who uses his powers to steal information on supervillains and then you blackmail them for money. The whole thing about your parents was a lie. Psych asks, oh yeah, well, that's my cover. Me and Flash have a bond now. You're the one who's lying. Flash tells him that even if he hadn't pulled that stunt back there, he'd believe Iris. I don't need mind-reading powers to know when she's telling the truth. Psych sighs. You're right. You know best. You can go ahead and take me to supervillain jail. Flash reaches out telling him, I don't know about. But before he could finish, Psych yells, Psych! And he starts to use his powers to destroy Flash and Iris's minds. They fall to the ground, screaming in pain, as Psych puts on his helmet telling them, I knew you were coming here. There are people who would pay a lot of money for you, so I made a deal. Just then Santiago and Belladonna step out stating, Hi Flash. Ever since we met back in Badanicia, we just had to see you again. Flash begins to get up, telling them leave Iris out of this, and Belladonna says, oh, I wouldn't be too worried about your gal pal. You have something that we've been looking for. Santiago goes on and says, actually, we're much older than we appear. Back in the 40s, we were on the hunt for immortality. All of our search led us to a lab where we learned to drain cosmic energy. That energy is the forces that you seek. Absorbing the forces brings immortality, and we could only siphon so much with the scraps that we had. Then we met and learned that you had the Speed Force. Well, we couldn't pass that up, Flash. With what we know about these forces, we could live forever together. Psych tells him, cool story, bro. But if you really could just give me my money now? Belladonna grabs Psych by the head asking, did you really think that we would steal Flash's powers and not yours? Santiago reaches for the Flash, and while both him and Psych are having their powers drained, Santiago yells, this is your end! As the two begin to absorb the forces of Sage and Speed, Iris gets up calling out to Flash, tackling into Santiago. Belladonna calls out to Santiago, asking if he's okay, but as he springs back up, he runs with the Flash's speed, stating, actually, I've never felt better. He speeds up, grabbing Iris by the throat, hanging her off the ledge of the roof, telling her, it doesn't matter, we've got their powers. But before he could let her go, the Flash gets back on his feet, helps Psych up, stating, we may be a little weak, but we're gonna have to work together to get through this. Psych shakes off the dizziness and rushes in with the Flash, and as the two of them get close, they combine both the Speed Force and the Sage Force to knock Gemini away. Santiago and Belladonna deflect the attack, with Santiago telling Belladonna, looks like we're going to have to do the same. Psych gets up, getting ready to attack again, but the Flash tells him, wait, let them share their powers. Santiago and Belladonna get ready to kiss, and as their faces get close, there's a loud crack-a-coom, and the two are blown away. Iris gets up asking, what just happened? And the Flash tells her, it was that way when Heatwave was infused with both forces and nearly killed him. Psych throws his helmet, shouting, no! They tried to kill me. He runs over, grabbing Santiago, asking, you really want to see how far I can push the Sage Force? Let's find out together. Die! He begins to release all of the Sage Force's power directly into Santiago's head. Belladonna screams for him to stop. The Flash rushes in, throwing Psych off, asking, what did you just do? And Psych yells, I turned out his lights. Flash lets go, stating, you can't use your powers like that ever. But Psych knocks his hand away, asking, what do you know about our powers? Turns out, while I was in Santiago's head, Santiago knows more about the forces than we could ever imagine. Flash then asks, what do you mean? And Psych yells, let me show you! Flash then begins to see the images of the Force avatars, and he hears Psych's voice telling him, the four forces did not work together to save the multiverse. Their destiny has always been to be at war, until one of them could finally control the Forever Force. The other forces didn't disappear. The Speed Force avatar banished them. All four can't be free. One must win control, and for one force to live, the other three must die. So whatever you were told about the four working together was a lie. If you want to keep your Speed Force, you're gonna have to fight for it. With another loud crack-a-coom, the Flash and Iris are stunned. Flash stops, stating that he showed him about the new forces and what they really are. So how did Gemini know so much about them? A short while later, in Arkham, after Belladonna is booked, Flash goes to her cell, stating that he's sorry about her husband, but they need to. She stops him, asking, what are you talking about? Santiago's right here, he's here with me! I saved him, can't you see? We're going to escape and steal all of the forces together. Your monkey friends told me everything. Flash thinks about it for a moment, and he picks up Iris and he runs to Gorilla City. When they get there, they find it in ruins. The Flash checks around, not finding anyone, but as a fire is lit, one of the gorilla scientists walks out. The Flash runs over, asking what happened, and the scientist looks back, stating, two thieves that had wished for eternal life. They killed all my brothers. They let me live if I told them the truth about the forces. Flash says, it's true then. the four forces never work together, and the scientist tells him, "We hoped that you could bring a change to that. A hero of hope such as yourself could put an end to the war. Solovar's records show that the last war nearly tore the multiverse apart. But that isn't all we hide." Flash takes the tablet, and as he reads it, he says, "I messed up. I had hoped this person was lost in hypertime, but Hunter Solomon is back. He's the one who killed everyone in Gorilla City." Flash picks up Iris and begins to run, but before Iris could ask where they're going, she sat down in front of their house. Flash takes off trying to process everything, but instead of looking for Solomon or anything like that, he thinks back to something Booster Gold had said. He was talking about Sanctuary and acting really weird, and then he mentioned something under his breath. Wally. The Flash hurries over to Sanctuary, and as he opens the door, he finds Wally's lifeless body. If you want to know more about that, we're going to be covering Heroes in Crisis soon, and then the Flash's reaction. Zip! Zoop! I ran around the world so fast you didn't even know because I'm faster than the Flash. Welcome to the end of the video where I go a little crazy and insane. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you want more of the Flash storyline and you want to know more about Heroes in Crisis, because we just left you off on one hell of a cliffhanger where Wally West is dead, subscribe to the channel as Heroes in Crisis is coming very, very soon. We are finally covering it, my friends. It's going to be epic. It's going to be fun. We're going to be giving you Heroes in Crisis on a single issue basis every week or every other week while tying in stuff like the Flash's reaction, Red Hood's reaction, Green Arrow's reaction, Batman's reaction. It's gonna be great, it's gonna be fun, and I hope you guys enjoy. So make sure you subscribe, give this video a like, and don't forget, you too can run like the Flash. Just literally walk into a room and just be like, I just ran around the world, you didn't even know it.